Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are back in War Thunder and it's time to have a look at the Bastille Day event which is going on, which is of course the French event. On the website it says on the 14th of July 1789, the Bastille fortress, a symbol of absolute monarchy, was taken over by rioting Parisians. It was one of the most important events of the French Revolution. And so, when at the end of the 19th century, the French government decided to choose a date for the national holiday, they picked the 14th of July. And so that means that in War Thunder, we get a little event for it. Starting off from the 14th of July to the 18th of July, you have to play 3 battles using French vehicles, and you can get yourself the Bastille Day decal, which has, of course, the wonderful arc in it, the Arc de Triomphe, of course, from the wonderful area in Paris. If you haven't been there, by the way, highly recommend going to Paris. There's so many really nice things. Wouldn't like to live there, but there are tons of wonderful architecture and also museums and just amazing things to see. So highly recommend it for a holiday. Then also at the same time, they're bringing back a crowd favorite. This is the M4A1 FL10. This vehicle is now back for GE. It's going to cost 2,980 GE for the time being, so you won't be able to have a long time to get this thing. What I'll do in this video is I'll talk about it, give my thoughts on it, and all of that good stuff. But generally, it is a very good vehicle overall. Also, we'll have a look at the changelog later, and don't worry, there'll be chapters and stuff so you can move around the place. If you're thinking about getting the GE for the FL10, make sure to use the partner link in the description. You can get 3% discount and also my decal with any purchase that you do on the store. Let's get into talking about the M4A1. So the French M4A1 FL10 was one of the first vehicles you could actually get for France when it came to the French CBT happening. You had to either purchase this or the AMX13 SS11, and this was always seen as a much better choice than the AMX13. And the reason for this is because, well, it generally is a lot better. The AMX13 has issues with its missiles not being very useful, so therefore you just kind of at a higher BR than the standard AMX13 with a useless armament. With the M4A1 FL10, though, you are a Sherman chassis in the form of the M4A1 one, so not great protection, but good enough, but with a really good turret and also a really good gun on it. There's a reason why this thing went up BR not too long ago, but it doesn't really matter that it went up in BR because it has a stellar lineup, at least of ground with it, that you can bring along. This thing can be brought on with the M4A4 SA50, which is a fantastic Sherman, one of my favorite Shermans in the game. Obviously the M4A4 chassis, and it has this ridiculously good gun, the 75. It's a bit bouncy, but once you get used to it and its optics, the Peacock round pens pretty much anything you can find at this BR and even higher BRs, so it's a very useful gun even in an up tier. The EBR 1951 as well, one of the newer vehicles added to the French tech tree, another EBR which just keeps going up in BR because of its general mobility, scouting ability, and also ability to flank. So this one is also a fantastic vehicle to use. So you add the M4A1 FL10 to this lineup, and first of all, what that means is you don't have to up-tier this lineup, because generally you would up-tier it to use the M4A3E2, or you would chuck in something like the AMX13 DCA40 to be able to go on with it. The FL10 is also a good vehicle to run in a slight up tier with stuff like the Jumbo or with stuff like the ARL44. The reason for this is because on the gun, the 75mm, it has good pen in the form of the POT 51A 182 139 62. This is going to be able to go through Tiger's fronts, through Panther's fronts, and through pretty much everything else's fronts that you can find. It may struggle in a full up tier against some 6.3 heavies, but everything else it's going to be fine against. And also because it's an autoloader, because it has of course the oscillating turret with 12 rounds in reserve. In the autoloader itself, it has a 5-second reload, so you can pretty much out-reload everything as well at this BR, which means if you screw up one shot and they screw up one shot, or if you want to get a follow-up shot after doing a bit of crippling damage to the enemy, then you're able to do it. The only real downsides of this vehicle is its turret's a little bit bouncy, but that can be sorted through crew skills, and also the gun depression isn't the best, so that can be kind of annoying. The armor is also not the best on the vehicle, and the mobility is still that of a Sherman's. This basically means that the reverse doesn't really exist, so once you're in a fight, you're never really going to be able to get out of it. But it is a fantastic vehicle. It's one which a lot of people have looked to grind through the French tech tree, and it's incredibly good to do so. The French tech tree in general is not great at rank 1. There's a lot of weak vehicles is probably the best way of putting it. So they put a lot of work into rank 1 to try and improve it, but it's still not very good. The rank 2 has been massively bolstered compared to what it is before, adding in a bunch of the American and British vehicles, and this isn't too bad to grind through. The rank 3 is very fun, the rank 4, 5, and 6. 6 is a little bit all over the place, but it's still quite fun, and the Leclercs are incredibly fun as well. So the French tech tree for me is my favorite when it comes to the game, my favorite ground tech tree that exists around the place, which is really nice, and the M4A1 FL10 can give you a bit of a boost to be able to get into it properly and, you know, to get to those little higher BRs. It's a great vehicle. You just got to watch out for its bounciness, and you just got to watch out for its armor not being great, but if you use this properly, you should always get the first shot off, so armor isn't too much of an issue. With 13 rounds ready as well, with one in the breach, this thing can be super deadly even to a column of tanks that run into it. I suppose it doesn't have a 50 cal, that would be kind of nice, but c'est la vie. If your turret gets popped and your ammo somehow doesn't go off, you can still also survive with the 4-man crew, since it's 2 in the turret and 2 in the hull. So yeah, I would definitely say this thing is generally worth it. You're talking about a vehicle which is around about $20. You can just grind through the tech tree anyway without it. You know, it's not one of those necessity premiums, but I would definitely say that this one is a lot of fun and definitely worth the $20. There was also a X fixed when it came to War Thunder. Now, it seems like they've supposedly fixed a bunch of stuff in this. One of the issues I've still been having when it comes to War Thunder is performance issues. It's actually meant that this week I've decided to play a few other games instead of it right now, just to kind of, you know, just to kind of chill on it at at this point, because I was running into so many problems. It was just kind of getting a bit overwhelming. So hopefully with this setup, a lot of them has been fixed. So with ground vehicles, a bug has been fixed that made a vehicle slide up while moving on a slope. That's been a bug for a long time now, maybe a couple of years. So I'm glad that they've finally fixed that. It basically meant that what you could do is you could slide upwards, up mountains and stuff, which was super fun to do, but also kind of ridiculous. So I'm glad that that's been fixed. A bug has also been fixed where specific armaments were missed in the protection analysis while selecting aircraft with custom weapon presets. Obviously, this is once again positive because with the custom weapon stuff, I know it's something that a lot of people have been looking forward to, so it's very important that they get that sorted. There's also a bug fix that prevented display of the laser emission direction, which obviously, once again, very important. So 3 decently sized bugs fixed there. Then we go into the individual vehicles. So the PGZ-04A, the number of the rounds in a belt has been adjusted, and the position of ammo storage has been adjusted. Basically, it gets way more rounds now, I believe, is basically the way to see it. The PGZ-04A is, of course, the top tier Chinese AA. It is only 9.7. But at least it gives it a bit more use. It now has 1,000 rounds when it comes to its 25 millimeters. It's still not the best AA in the book, but it's good enough. You know, it's good at 9.7. It's just China needs like a 10.7 11.01 at some point to be able to help out against the top tier stuff like the Ka-50s and also stuff like the more long range weapons, like not really the Mavericks. I don't really see the Mavericks too much, but stuff like the guided bombs. Because you get outranged and the missiles that you have just aren't good enough. The AMX-30 DCA and the Falcon, the order of the APDS rounds in the belt has been adjusted, so they'll probably move them around. The Z23A2, a bug has been fixed that prevented multiple ATGM activations with a single beam. Nice, so you'll be able to fire 3 ATGMs at one target at once. That'll be quite fun. The Panzer IIIs, all of them, a bug has been fixed that prevented smoke grenade reload. Well, there you go. So they can have a bit of extra survivability. The PVKV3, a bug has been fixed that prevented overpressure damage. Oh, God. That's why it was so survivable compared to its brother in the game. Hopefully we see the PVKV4 at some point. The Leclerc S2, and also the other Leclerc, a bug has been fixed that prevented kinetic damage to the bustle rack ray blocks. So does that mean the round was just going straight through? Or does that mean that it was not, or it was getting stuck on there? No, I don't know. There was also 2 other things fixed with the Leclerc. A bug has been fixed with overestimated autoloader reload time, and also a bug has been fixed with underestimated pivot turn time. So now the Leclerc should move a little bit different. I was playing it the other day. It still feels okay as a vehicle. It's a little bit slow on the traverse, so maybe this has fixed it. And hopefully, hopefully people enjoy that thing. It's still one of my favorite top tier vehicles. A lot of people talk about it still not being meta or whatever. It is still a very, very good vehicle. You just can't rely on its armor as much as you used to be able to. The Macbeth, a bug has been fixed with different targeting angles of the missile launcher and the autocannon. So that means that they'll probably have to, they'll have different arcs to fire at. I still haven't used the Macbeth too much. I've actually been using the Hobbit a bit. I don't mind the Hobbit, it's not too bad. There's also a bunch of SBAGs and IFVs and main battle tanks, which now have with belt feed guns, now have a reload time which is set to 20 seconds. So everybody has been standardized, basically. We went over the list the other day. In the data mine. It's no different to that list, so I'm not going to go through it again. The aircraft side of things, they fixed a bug that prevented helicopters auto repair when only the main rotor was broken. So it's glad that they do have that, I suppose. There was also a bug that has been fixed that prevented display in the direction of the incoming missile in a helicopter hood. So now you can see where it's coming to kill you from. Then also a bug that fixed a bug that's been fixed has been prevented. Wait, a bug has been fixed that prevented. There you go. Display of the laser direction of the laser warning system. That seems like it's probably that's also the one before it, or at least they should be kind of connected. There's also another one that was fixed, which caused the sight stabilizer to reset while turning 180 degrees in a relation to a target. And then the HKP3C, which is the Swedish Huey with the incredibly slow missiles. There was a bug that has been fixed where the ATGM targeting area was reduced while the sight stabilizer was active. And this is something we talked about before. So your Swedish Huey is now slightly better than it was before, and you can watch your wonderful missiles go in even lower. The Super Mr. B2, it now has its AS-20 missiles back in the secondary armament, so you can be a bit more useful in ground forces. The PE-8, they've given it the separate bomb drops from all of its loads. Basically, the external pylons go first, then the bomb bays open, so separate bomb drop has been added for the 250s, 500s, and 1000s, so if anybody uses anything but the Mega Bomb, this is obviously useful. The Ak-1B, also, they fixed the rocket rails on it, just like all of the other vehicles. The S199, they gave it 3 spawns instead of 1 in arcade, because obviously it's a reserve vehicle, it makes sense for that to happen. Means that people can get into it a little bit easier. The 30mm GTM 781 gun, they also fixed a bug where the modification, the new 30mm guns module, increased the spread at 500 meters distance. So now they've actually made it the opposite way around, which is fantastic. For naval, there was a few changes as well. When the artillery mount is damaged, the X-ray shows the barrels as damaged too, which makes sense. The Blackpool, there was a bug which was fixed for it, where the mortars, after repeated damage, might be displayed as undamaged. Then the Admiral Hipper as well had a bug fix that led to an incorrect animation of the rangefinders on the control towers. The Garland, the required camera position for the depth charges drop has been fixed, so I'm guessing you had to look the opposite way or something. The Sverdlov, the drown parameters have been adjusted and pumping time reduced, so we'll have to see if that's more survivable or less. The MPK PR12412, the ammo replenishment time for the 30mm has been reduced, so you won't have to stay on a cap for too long. The gearing, the radar is now able to track air targets, so that actually gives it way more use compared to before. And then they also changed some of the British shells explosive types. So the 305mm Mark 6A APC and now is Lyddite. The 343mm Mark 1A APC is now Lyddite, and the 343mm CPC is now TNT. I believe this gives them way more explosive mass, or at least equivalent, so they should be a bit more aggressive. Graphics-wise, a bug when using the NVIDIA GPU on medium or high-quality settings of the global illumination in battles in the dark daytime under the player's aircraft on the ground could display a highlighted square has been fixed. Well, that's an odd one. A bug when moving cameras in dark daytime battles could display a dark band of edges on the screen has been fixed. Or you could just remove night battles or dark battles and make it so, you know, light actually matters. That would be really nice. Then on the interface, they changed a few things. So console players can now open the appearance view of vehicles from the premium pack screen in the in-game store. This is really nice, so you can, you know, see the vehicle that you're viewing. And also, you can now select the type of vehicles to display packs in the Xbox in-game store. Once again, wonderful. This is just improvement overall. The restart button has been added to the game's settings when changing sound settings that require you to restart the game. Nice. A bug also that caused some helicopters to lose their marker for offensive weapons or turrets when switching the small arms selector has also been fixed. And then also some sound stuff again, because we can't have an update without a bunch of sound changes. It would be really nice if they were maybe left alone for a little bit so our ears could actually get used to them. The engine sound management system of enemy allied vehicles has been reconfigured so as to eliminate the possibility of appearing of silent vehicles around the player's vehicle. This applies to ground vehicles and aircraft, so I supposedly this was fixed in the last changelog. I'm guessing it wasn't, and now it's supposedly fixed again. I can't wait until the next changelog where it tells us that it's fixed it again. The engine volumes of enemy allied vehicles have been aligned with each other, so now you won't be able to tell what is enemy and what is ally. A bug that caused enemy allied jets to be inaudible when approaching the player has been fixed. So now you'll be able to actually at least differentiate them. Sound of the machine guns of the ground vehicles received more dynamics. It means that each shot has become more audible compared to the previous and subsequent ones. That's pretty cool. And then hits on the ground vehicle of the player and enemies allies received low frequency and mid-frequency components of the explosion. Previously, the most distinguishable elements was the clang of the metal against armor. Then also there was changes in the PvE game modes. In the Assault Ground Arcade mode, a bug where it wasn't possible to respawn in helicopters of a BR under 8.3 has been fixed. So now, you'll be able to spawn in those starter helis. And then also, ability to play in squads in the Mission of Dynamic campaigns has been disabled, which is kind of odd. Wonder why that is the case. That's kind of sad to see. And then also a bug where simultaneous vehicle movement and interacting with game chat could cause controls to be blocked has been fixed. And the advance to the Rhine, a bug which could lead to a sudden destruction of a player's aircraft when flying at low altitudes along the river has been fixed. I actually had one of those on a different map the other day where I was flying the Tismar, where generally my vehicle just went boom, and I've absolutely no idea why, so definitely a weird time. But anyway, that is all of the stuff from the changelog, and also the Bastille Day event. A ton of stuff going on in War Thunder as usual, and hopefully soon we get some news about the upcoming Battle Pass and also the summer event. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman675, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Jerry Prevolt, Megadino King, Orange Tail, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Uncle Bean, Sem Arslan, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.